well. How are you?
Good, thank you. So what are we going to talk about today?
I've actually just been having some problems at home.
Okay.
I've had recently made the decision that I wanted to move out.
Okay.
And ever since I told my parents, they've just been really, really unsupportive, and they just don't think that I can manage on my own.
Oh, how does that make you feel?
It's really upsetting because I usually have a really good relationship with both of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And like ever since I told them, they've just been disrespectful, and they've been treating me like I'm a child.
Oh, I can understand why that would be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, I feel like they're holding on to me way too tightly, and they're restricting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think partially is because I'm the last child of theirs that live at home,
Oh.
and I am the youngest, so I think that they think that they need to protect me and baby me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So what I'm hearing that you're telling me is that you feel that your parents are maybe a bit afraid of letting you go because you're the youngest, and that their reaction to you wanting to move out is a little frustrating for you. Is that right?
yeah, I
Okay.
think that's partially it. Another fact that they did make is they don't believe that I should be living on my own if
Mhm.
I'm not in school.
Oh, okay. So have you taken time off of school?
Yeah, so I took a year off,
Okay.
and they weren't too happy about that because they think that I'm not going to go back to school.
Oh, okay.
But the main thing is they just don't want me to live by myself, and they think that I'm not ready to, even though I'm 18.
Mhm. Mhm. It sounds like you talked to your parents a little bit about the current issue, as you said that they have a bit of a different reaction than what you expected. Can you tell me a little bit more about your conversation with your parents about this issue?
So I mainly talked to my mom about it because she's
Okay.
the one that I speak to first.
Mhm.
And she just had a completely different reaction of what I thought. So
Mhm.
I was really surprised and taken aback because I thought that she would at least try to understand.
Mhm. Mhm. Why do
But
you think that she reacted the way that you weren't expecting?
I think it's just because she's the one that's really nurturing. She really just
Okay.
wants to make sure that I'm okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
But at the same time, she's restricting me and not allowing me to do things that I normally would.
Mhm. So, in terms of this issue, what do you think if you were able to kind of place yourself a main goal for like the near future in order to kind of continue on with speaking with your parents? Like, what would your main goal be?
Well, I need to talk to both of my parents and just
Yeah.
explain to them that it's important to me that I get to live on my own and grow independently.
Mhm.
But I also just need to understand that it's hard for them to let me go.
Mhm. Mhm. So it looks like you're looking at both sides of things, like where your parents are coming from and their feelings as well. Because you say that you really want to move out, but it's also important to look at your parents' feelings and their sides of where they're coming from as well. Have you been able to reflect on that?
I haven't really thought about my parents' opinion and how it affects them.
Okay.
And I know that I've been kind of selfish in thinking about how it affects only myself.
Okay.
So I think that it would be beneficial for me to also take a look and see how it affects my parents.
How about looking at the positive side of things? Have you been able to do that? Like if you were to stay at home and then maybe continue on with school or any other sorts of positive things, how do you feel about that?
I haven't really thought much about it, but I think that living at home would put my relationship in jeopardy with my parents because if I were to live on my own,
Mhm.
it would make me value my time that I spend with my parents
Mhm.
because as of right now, I just take it for granted.
I can understand that. So then what have we discussed maybe? Like, can you tell me what you can do in the next week that would maybe, or the next week or so, that would be able to help you continue on with this issue?
Well, I think it would be beneficial for me to just have a conversation with both of my parents and
Mhm.
explain how it's important for me to grow and be independent.
Mhm.
And in that, we might come to a conclusion,
Mhm.
and hopefully we can compromise.
Mhm. Okay, so that sounds great then. So then, in the next little week or so, you'll be able to talk with your parents about, your decision of moving out, and then be able to reflect upon, you know, their feelings and your feelings. And then next week when we talk, we'll be able to talk about sort of the conclusion of how your conversation went. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk to you next week.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.